Hello and welcome to the Weekly Brief, a new Friday episode of the Politics of New America that provides, well, a brief rundown of important political news and policy that you might have missed or skimmed over in the unending hurricane of federal politics. The Weekly Brief is going to give you the information you need to understand the decisions coming out of the White House and Congress in a neat 15-minute or so package. And don't worry, you'll still get the big deep dives from us every Monday, but now you also get these slightly shallower dives on Friday. I'm your host, Nathan Stone. On May 19th, the Tools to Address Known Exploitation by Immobilizing Technological Deepfakes on Websites and Networks Act, or more succinctly, the Take It Down Act, was signed into law by President Donald Trump. Now, this is a law aimed at dealing with non-consensual intimate imagery, or, to put it more plainly, revenge porn, or AI-built deepfakes posted to online sites, usually porn sites or social media applications. Now, this was a bipartisan bill. It was introduced by Republican Senator Ted Cruz and Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar. And this was introduced in June 2024. It passed both houses with near unanimous votes, recently passing the House by a 409-2 vote on April 28th, after having passed the Senate in February. So the Take It Down Act is centered around this idea that if you find revenge porn of yourself online, or if you find that you have been deepfaked, you should be able to have that image or video or what have you removed in short order. It's a very reasonable bill on the surface. And it was written after a 2023 incident where several Texas high school students were subjected to sexual harassment when another student who had taken regular photos of them had altered those pictures to make them look naked and posted it on Snapchat using an anonymous account. Now, at the time, Texas law had no regulation to punish this particular crime because they used manipulated photos instead of deepfakes, and Texas had laws on the book around deepfakes, but not specifically manipulated photos. And where the action took place out of the school district was unable to pursue things, and the parents couldn't get the local police to take action. Unfortunately, 3 of the students that were victimized ended up transferring school districts, and several months later, Senator Cruz reached out to Snapchat directly, and the photos were removed very quickly, even within an hour. And to this point, Cruz said, and I quote, "It should not take a sitting senator getting on the phone to take these down." And he's got a good point. So quickly to define revenge porn, which is a lot of what this bill deals with, it's when you've filmed someone having sex or doing sexual acts and distributed it without their consent. So in this case, the sex is consensual, but not the sharing of the video around it. And the video could either be have been done in secret or consensually as well, but of course the sharing is the big thing. And when it comes to deepfakes, that's where one person's likeness is superimposed over another who is engaged in sexual activity. And deepfakes have gotten more realistic and more sophisticated and convincing with the emergence of AI. Now, what the act does is criminalize the publication of non-consensual intimacy imagery, and it requires social media and similar websites to remove the content within 48 hours notice from a victim. And it requires that platforms must take reasonable efforts to remove copies of images or reposts. And the Federal Trade Commission is in charge of enforcing that. Here is from the Congressional Research Service legal sidebar the 7 separate offenses that someone can be charged with. Number 1 is publications involving authentic, intimate visual depictions of adults. So that's your kind of standard revenge porn. 2 is publications involving authentic visuals depictions of minors. 3, publications involving digital forgeries of adults. And 4, publications involving digital forgeries of minors. 5, threats involving authentic, intimate depictions of adults or minors. 6, threats involving digital forgeries of adults. And 7, threats involving digital forgeries of minors. So those kind of 7 offenses, and you could be guilty of multiple at the same time, they are all of what is encompassed by this bill. So you can see where they say authentic and digital, right? They're talking about revenge porn versus deepfakes. Now, the bill also protects those acting in good faith to assist victims by their disclosure, such as medical professionals or law enforcement. So if they had to share certain images, doing an investigation, or if someone was missing, something like that, it would protect them from that. This should be kind of a good news story, right? There's really nothing here that is overly objectionable, right? This is cut and dried. Deepfakes are terrible if they're being used to victimize people, and posting revenge porn is never okay. So the idea of removing it quickly and effectively is a big win. And all that is true. However, there is a flip side to this bill, and that is many groups that are concerned with freedom of speech and freedom of expression are very, very concerned about how this bill can be abused. So to see how this could all go wrong, we should look at the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or the DMCA. The DMCA exists to protect copyrighted works online. And anyone who has worked on YouTube or worked online can tell you that the DMCA is very, very prone to abuse. What happens, especially on video sharing sites, is that someone, almost anyone, can look at your work and claim copyright. They can say, oh, that video you made uses a song. That song is mine or belongs to my client, and it's copyright, and I want you to take that down, or I want you to give the royalties from that video to me. And the idea of it isn't terrible if you believe in copyright. What's terrible is the method with which these social media companies and YouTube and everyone around this acts when they get a DMCA request. And what they do is they will just take the video down automatically. It's all done through a totally automatic system, no humans involved. The reason for it is there's just not enough staff to look into all of these requests. So it's really easy to weaponize DMCA to censor or silence or just harass someone that you don't like online, creators that you don't like online. And while you can challenge a DMCA takedown of your video or your content, that takes time. You're probably, not going to get the revenue from the video that you thought you were going to get because you weren't able to post it when you wanted to post it. It can be really, really tough for creators. And there's actually less guardrails with the Take It Down Act than there is with DMCA. So where people are concerned is that when this goes into effect and it's being set up by tech companies, by YouTube, by Meta, whoever, is they're just going to use that same kind of automated system, and it's going to end up taking down legitimate videos. And I know we're talking about, okay, well, isn't this all, pornography, that kind of thing? Pornography is a really big business, and hopefully most of it is done legitimately and above board, and people are getting paid for their work. And so this could be a really bad thing for a lot of people if it is weaponized in the same way that DMCA is weaponized. And also, where these are automated systems, it could also be used to take down videos that are not pornography. There's nothing to do with them. We've seen that with DMCA in the past, of videos having no copyrighted material being taken down because of this weaponization, and because people are trying to manipulate or keep people from viewing certain subject matter. There's so many reasons why this can happen. And Joe Mullen, who is a senior policist for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, he has argued that Take It Down is likely unconstitutional and will undoubtedly have a censorious impact on users' free expression due to its failure to carve out exceptions for commercial pornography and matters of public concern. And that's a quote from him. And he said that it would create a far broader internet censorship regime than current provisions used in the DMCA Act. So there's a lot here to be worried about. Also, from a political standpoint, in Ted Cruz's own state in Texas, there is a movement to ban pornography. And there's that movement existing in several other states as well. And the worry is that this is a new tool in the toolbox of anti-pornography crusaders who can weaponize it and use it against legitimate pornographers in their quest to try and bring this kind of puritanical anti-pornography vision to America in 2025. So where does this leave us as a result? Well, Take It Down has been signed into law, which means it is going to start going into effect. So we will very quickly find out what kind of effect this has. Is it going to be as bad as DMCA or worse? If it is, then it's going to be even harder to create content on the internet, especially around controversial subjects, because you might get hit with one of these as harassment. You might get hit with a DMCA. There's just more for creators to worry about. And for the pornography industry, it's also a big thing to worry about. And that isn't to downplay the bill's good sides. It has some very clear, obvious upside, which we've covered. It does make platforms accountable in a lot of ways to what is posted there, and forces them to take down image that could be, of minors very quickly, which should happen. So keep an eye on this one, folks. And when you hear about the Take It Down Act from now on, just kind of keep those two sides of the coin in your mind. That's going to be it for this first episode of the Weekly Brief. I hope you've enjoyed it. You can look forward to more of these every Friday. Don't miss our next full episode on Monday. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating on your podcast platform of choice, and tell all your friends. The Politics of New America is hosted by Nathan Stone and produced by Josh Carmody. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Politics New America.